Eat Fruit Media is a mission-based organization built on helping individuals address personal situations while fostering unity and improvement. Welcome to Beyond Limits, everybody. A new show with Jason and Tom. We're basically a couple of guys who are nice and curious, looking at fruits, the concept of sitting, searching, and sharing. We are not experts by any stretch of the imagination. As I said, we are a couple of very curious guys, and we're digging into some things that may not necessarily be on the forefront of what people are talking about right now, or not talking about as much. May not necessarily be anything new, but it's not something you're going to be able to just look up and be able to find information right away.
That's what we like to talk about when we get together and we talk about some craziness.
Sometimes, absolutely.
We like to spin it all together and see what comes out of the other end. And, sometimes we can find some good resources. The internet's definitely helped, you get so many people out there sharing so much information, and then you got to kind of sift through that to see, what is real and what's not real. And, so we do the best we can. We like to talk about things that are, I would say, new perspectives in life, perspectives in, the medical world, health wise, new perspectives in, plant medicine, new perspectives in even how we view ourselves, our souls, our earth, and all that. So we're just going to bring it to you in a way where we're curious. We're kind of digging into this. We don't know all the answers. We'll try to do the best we can to give you our resources, but
yep. And the current plan right now is we will be coming to you at least once a week. If something pops up, something happens, well, that might stretch out a little bit, but we are going to do our best to give you some content at least once every week. So,
yep. And I think you're going to enjoy it because Tom and I, we dig into this stuff.
Yep.
There's some people that dig into, a lot of different things in life, but we like to know, what's really happening out there. Like there's so many things happening in our Earth, our planet, the solar, the Schumann resonance, as you can see the sun right here.
Yep.
And we just want to, we dig into those things because we know, I think we're in Tom's backyard right now.
Yep.
And there's like a haze, a smoky haze.
Yep.
In the sun, we'll get into it a little bit, but like the sun, for example, right now,
it's doing a pretty good job shining through at the moment, but the Canadian wildfires are definitely sharing their atmosphere with us.
Yeah. And that blocks the sun from hitting us. I was like researching it this morning. Like, what does it do? On one hand, it enhances the view of the sun, but the particles actually block us from getting sun.
Yep.
And like I'm looking at the sun right here. See, when you're looking at the sun, it unlocks things in you and it helps us grow. I mean, it's not just vitamin D. Everyone's like, oh, that was vitamin D. Yeah. No, it's a lot more than just vitamin.
Plenty more.
There's so much more to it. And so is there a plan behind this? Is there strategies behind this? There's a lot of websites you can go out there and that's what they do. They do those big dives into that. Our job isn't really we're not going to try to figure out who's responsible for everything and who's doing this, but I will acknowledge, I think there's some fishy stuff happening out there.
There probably is. And even if it's not directly involved with this current situation, there are a lot of hands in pockets that are being lined. And it's funny how the people at the top tend to find their way into those messes.
That's right.
But we're not allowed to question it. We do anyways. So, and the funny thing about, the sun's shining through pretty hard right now, but it's almost at its peak for the day. But not only is it not fully able to get through, but because of all the extra particles in the air, whether you subscribe to any kind of climate change or whatever, the truth of the science is this sort of thing does create a little bit more of a greenhouse effect because what is getting through bounces off and can escape. It sticks around a little bit longer. So It's a case of, even though we've been through this pretty heavy heat wave that might even continue as we get a little rain this next week, but this just means it's going to stay a little warmer than it's probably supposed to for a little bit.
I'm gonna encourage you, even though it hurts your lungs, get out a little bit.
Yep.
I'm not gonna sit here and say this is like a planned attack. Could it be? I've seen crazier things. I've seen crazier things, but what I will say this is our body needs that sun.
Yeah.
And in July, these few days, like these, like mid-July, this is when the sun is almost the strongest.
Yep.
And when you got the Schumann resonance doing what it does, that's why I'm always a little, I'm always in come with a little bit of skepticism. I really don't trust, the world and the people running all this stuff. I really don't. But I'm not gonna, I know Tom's gonna keep me grounded in that part of it. But whether it's from somebody else or not, it's blocking is blocking the rays from hitting us. Now, I'm the type of person that walk anywhere from 6 to 10 miles a day. I like my bald head. I like the sun going right in there. I literally stick my hands up like that when I'm walking so the sun can go in there. I get a little bit of sun in my eyes right before it goes down. There's an area where you can do what they call sun gazing. I do all that stuff. So I watch the sun. That's why we're going to be talking about solar flares and Schumann, because it's kind of my thing. And when this kind of stuff happens, it makes me wonder, because I've been waiting, I don't know, a whole year for mid-July to come so I can get outside and be in this. And when there's something in the way, it kind of makes me wonder. It just gets me there a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely, if you do come into the game with some pre-built breathing disorders, asthma and such, you still want to get outside, but don't be afraid or ashamed to mask up a little bit to help filter out some of what's in the air.
Or go to a window.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Get up to a window.
Let what light is out there shine in, and it affects you just as well. So, well, we'll probably dip in on that a little bit as we go along. But it's blueberry season.
Yeah.
It's one of your favorite seasons. Another reason to love July in Michigan.
It's packed right now, even though all this is going on. I drove by this morning. I'll be out there this afternoon. It's packed right now.
Good. So, but much like cherries, apples, and asparagus, West Michigan is a hotbed for blueberry production every year. And we live between Muskegon and Ottawa counties. They're arguably the blueberry capital of the state, if not the world. I'm sure there are plenty out there that'll say, no, we're wrong, but you literally can't go a few blocks around these two counties without coming across the blueberry field somewhere.
And they're not just these little tiny blueberries.
Nope.
And we're not talking about under a greenhouse, under artificial light. We're not talking about hydroponics. We're talking about just because the way that when Lake Michigan, we have late falls, and the way the springs work and the way the summer works, we get this really moisturized, I guess, this moisture in the air.
It's a perfect storm.
Yeah, and these blueberries are enormous right now. So you can go out there, it's so hot, and I can be out there for 10 minutes and get about a half bucket, which will last me about 2 days. And you don't have to stay out there very long because they're so big right now.
Right. That's unlike the cherry season.
Tom made this, by the way. It's not alcoholic, I don't think, but it's really cool. Look what he hooked us up with, man. So it's fun.
But unlike cherry season, which comes and goes very fast, even though it's the cherry season, you've got multiple breeds between sweet and tart cherries. Blueberry season sticks around for the better part of a month usually. But just like any fruit season, the best quality is generally going to be towards the beginning, the first half. But now's the time to hit up your local farmers markets. And I know there are some areas across the country that may not be in a prime position to have local farms, period. So the opportunities that you've got at your farmers markets may not be as prolific as the ones we've got around here. And much like these farms and orchards, We've got many farmers markets we can plug into here in Muskegon County and all the surrounding county.
Yeah.
And today down at the Muskegon Farmers Market, they've got a new vendor came all the way down from Manistee.
Oh, really?
Yep. So they're traveling. It's worth the trip. They pretty much know this. So, but the beauty of being able to hit up a farmer's market is the people running these stalls are usually the families of the farms. Whether it's the actual farmer or not, you can guarantee that at least one member of their family is going to be at this market, and you'll be able to find out the type of farming, the way the process that they go through with the farming, so you know what you're getting with your produce, so you'll know what to do with it when you get it home.
Because you can't really do that at a grocery store.
No, and
I try. Trust me.
Yep.
The grocery stores, I'm usually a really nice guy. I'm pretty nice. But when I go in grocery stores and they're messing with fruit, I always talk to managers and I kind of stir that pot. I don't like them messing with the fruits.
Yep.
I don't like them messing with the fruits.
And the majority of the produce that you're going to get in the store, it's safe, but it's been handled and treated and coated, and
you don't know where it's really been.
And
the owners don't really know where it's
correct.
been. And they're going with the lowest bid.
Correct. Whereas when you actually go direct through the farms at the farmers market, you're basically getting it. They've picked it and washed it and brought it to market.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas, say with blueberries, the rule on blueberries is you don't wash those until you're going to use them.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see that the white coating that builds up on them. That's actually natural to the blueberries. It's part of their protective state, maintaining their own freshness until the time comes. If you bring them home and wash them right away and let them sit before you eat, if you let them sit for a day or so, chances are they're going to be overripe or beyond by the time you get to them. If you wait until you're ready to eat them or use them for what it is you're going to do, you wait to wash them until then, you're going to get the best blueberries you possibly can.
That's why I ate them the first day.
So
I ate them all.
And you're going to get a fair price at the farmers markets. You take into consideration you're getting it directly from the farm, and you're paying for not only the upkeep of the farm and the family and probably anyone they've hired to do the work. There's still going to be some people that say, well, that price is, it's cheaper at the store.
Yeah.
But again, knowing what you're getting compared to having some serious questions that aren't going to get answered. But if that price might still make you cough a little bit, most of these farms have you pick options, special fields and orchards set aside for the general public to come in and pick their own produce. And then what you're going to find with that, one, you can, like Jasen said, you can get in and get out if that's the case. Otherwise, you can get in, take your time, spend a good amount of time in the outdoors, get yourself a really good product, get some grounding in, being in that outdoors, getting your hands on these bushes and trees. And then when it comes time for cashing out, generally the you pick prices are usually half or sometimes better than half price per pound compared to the stuff that's pre-picked. So you're getting a really, really beyond fair deal, and the quality is completely up to you at that point.
I think it's important, like wherever you live, because you could live globally, you could be anywhere on the planet right now. And in America, if you go into a grocery store, I know on the West Coast it's a little different, but even all the way down, like you're going to find oranges, you're going to find bananas, you're going to find apples, blueberries. You're going to have a group of fruit, and that's it. And they really don't and that's just kind of like Americans. We all kind of think that's all there is in fruits. And there's so many stinking different fruits. Now, one of the things I've really come to believe is that depending on where you live on this planet, you should be finding the fruit that grows in your area. Because I believe that our body adapts to the area that it's around.
Correct.
And you might think that that's kind of like weird or whatever, and I don't really understand all the science behind that. Again, we like to dig in things. We don't have time to dig into everything because we're not that old yet. But when we're digging into this stuff, one of the things I dig into, I find that these places, wherever there's different berries, that community, they use that berry, and it has that community has the benefits of that berry or that fruit or whatever that is. And here, and one of the things that blueberries is all over the whole planet, but you should be looking into your area. Like, what are the area? Like cherries, for example, grow. They're kind of exclusive. They grow other places too,
Yep.
but like Washington, Michigan, um, they're kind of exclusive to
The right temperate climate.
and so I believe in this area we should be eating cherries because
Yep.
it's something to do with the air we're breathing in here,
Yep.
the ground that we walk on. What do you think
Correct.
about that?
I agree. There is so much truth to us being a product of our environment. I mean, it's generally used based on who or what you associate with, but at the same time, we're in a, we live in this ecosystem, and here in West Michigan, a big part of this ecosystem are the different farms.
Hmm.
Um, and literally, it's amazing that more than just fruit, asparagus, pickles, you name it. This area grows it,
Yeah.
and and depending on the windows they expect, and you kind of put up a map of Michigan, throw a dart at it, and wherever it hits, I guarantee you're going to find something. Um,
They're all
but
over
you,
in my
but you make
woods.
exactly
I literally go
that's
in my woods and there's grapes, there's blackberries, and there's autumn, what are they called?
autumn olive.
Autumn olives.
Yep,
Yeah. And they provide a meal for me every day in the
yep.
fall.
And yes, we're hitting that season too. The blackberries are coming in.
Coming in.
I'll be taking you up to where I grew up here soon, and we'll probably see if I've got a good enough signal. We may go live and
Nice.
check out what the wooded area where I grew up is nice and full right now with blackberries. So, um, but yes, like Jason said, know what is local to you,
Hmm.
because that it's more than just the identity of your area. I guarantee you that you will find that there is some of it, the more time you spend in that area, the more that does become part of your genetic makeup. Really,
Yeah.
it does. Um, I may not fully understand the science behind it or how to prove it, but believe me, there
The
are
more we
benefits
eat
to
this,
it.
the younger we get, and it gives us more
Sometimes,
time just to dig into really crazy things.
yeah,
And then when we're on the internet, we ask a lot of people a lot of questions, and a lot of people are a lot smarter than at least me, and they tell me a whole bunch of stuff.
right, right. And it definitely it's what some people might dismiss as hogwash or conspiracy. Guess what? Somebody else has already dove in and said, I've seen some things.
We're
I've
not
seen
stating
some
it's a
things.
fact.
No,
We're just really curious.
yeah, very much so.
I'm pretty curious that for some reason this cherry needs to be inside. I used to have a cherry tree in Traverse City because I grew up in Traverse City. And I think, because we're believers, I believe the maker puts us in an area for our body, our genetics, our makeup to help us be the person. So really what you should be looking in your area. What are, some people like my daughter, she lives in Hawaii. Guess what they get a lot of over there? They
Pineapple.
need to be my little grandson Cyrus. I hope he had a pineapple pajamas on yesterday, so he's probably gonna be eating a lot of pineapples,
I was
right?
gonna say he'll be one of those. He just turned 6 months. That means he's probably already crunching on some of this stuff.
He better be. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure he will be.
Oh yeah.
But okay, so back to blueberries. Let's take a little deeper. Let's go a deeper dive here. So many of the experts out there call blueberries superfoods. There's a lot of people out there that absolutely abhor that term of superfood. But the truth of the matter is, blueberries are full. They come fully loaded,
Hmm.
down with some really important vitamins and minerals. And let's take a look at the list here, because your body needs these. A single cup serving of blueberries is only 80 calories. You might be able to eat two peanuts and
Really?
get that. That's That's it. I mean, where you get a full cup of blueberries, but look at what you also get in this cup of blueberries. A high volume of vitamin K, which is essential for blood clotting and strengthening our bones. Vitamin C, which is very common across the board in fruits in general, but you get your immune system boosted, and it also is essential for collagen production, which means basically it's a skin helper. Vitamin E is an antioxidant and protects your cells from oxidative stress, which is a fancy way of saying they take out free radicals. They're cancer fighters. Um, and then vitamin B6, great for your metabolism, but really helps with your brain health.
Yes.
Not just nervous system, but actual brain function. Vitamin B9 or folate, that's
It's a rare one.
exactly. It's a key piece in DNA synthesis and cell formation.
It's hard to get vitamin B9.
So, but the DNA synthesis and cell formation, basically that helps you heal. It helps you heal, helps you grow, helps things that need to regenerate do what they need to do to keep you fully functional. So moving over into the minerals, the highest one present in blueberries is manganese. The manganese is important for bone development. So it doesn't just keep them strong, but it helps, it actually, again, helps heal. Say if you happen to break a bone, if you really get enough in your system, probably push over just a little bit, may even be a little bit harder to break your bones, but don't test that theory, please. But it also is great for the metabolism, and blueberries in general. Most of the vitamins and minerals
Don't tell my
are huge
stepboys
for
that, man. They'll
metabolism.
get a push man.
They'll definitely, or they'll find somebody to test it for them. But there's potassium, which helps regulate the fluid balance in your body, keeps the fluid systems rolling, as well as our muscle contractions and the nerve signals that hit throughout the different parts of our body. Phosphorus, not enough to make us glow, but works with the calcium for development of our bones and teeth. Yep, believe it or not. This is a plant, folks. This comes from a plant.
We can step at the tooth one for a minute.
Yep.
I had a tooth problem last year. Well, I've had it for like 3 years. And I had a tooth that had I had a cavity in it, and then I was gonna get a root canal and all that price. I was saving up for a root canal. It's too much money. And my my mouth got so swollen up, it was always swollen up. Last year from eating the blueberries, okay? This isn't a medical claim. This is what happened to me.
Yep.
Literally, my swelling in my mouth went so far down, the tooth fell out. My wife was right there. The tooth that was bad came out.
Yep. And that's
because the swelling, you don't understand how much swelling that we have in our bodies. And I will swear by this. I've heard this. For one, the skin on the blueberry is the same kind of material that makes our eyeballs.
Yep.
And that blueberries has something in it that's you just read it.
Yep.
With your teeth. So I want to stop on this one for a minute, because they say that teeth decay or tooth disease is the #1 disease in the world, or something like that. Tooth decay. So
Yep.
mouth problems are a huge problem for people.
Yep.
Blueberries, guys.
Yep.
Eat a lot of blueberries. I'm not going to say it's going to heal everything. I'm not going to say that. But I will say that for years, this hurt so bad. And the swelling went so far down that the tooth was able to come. I was able to just pull it right out.
Yeah.
And I was able, and it's been able to heal. I mean, there's no infection there. I didn't even, that's my journey. But I believe that if you have teeth problem, blueberries are where it's at.
We'll actually be hitting on part of that in a moment once I get through this list, but there's something else that comes along with blueberries that you've been very curious about. But yeah, blueberries are also a small source of calcium. So not only, so the phosphorus and the calcium are already together. And so again, bones and muscles, there with your calcium. Iron for our red blood cells. Actually, they're rather high in iron considering that they're a plant. And then zinc.
These aren't medical claims. These are just facts.
They support You get immune function support as well as more metabolism. But blueberries come loaded with what they call polyphenols. The most prominent of which is the flavonoid anthocyanin, and that word has been thrown around a lot, and it's very prevalent in a lot of berries. Blackberries and blueberries probably have the highest amount. So, but these are what anthocyanins are in fruits. They're water soluble pigments that make up the coloring of the fruit. Uh, they also work in a positive symbiosis with the vitamins and the minerals. So blueberries also have a very strong representation of terpenes. And terpenes is a word that we're starting to hear a little bit more. It's nothing, it really is nothing new. It's just now science and the Food Administration are starting to look at them beyond where they were originally recognized, and that was in cannabis. Um,
Isn't that where most people have like heard of this?
that is correct. That is exactly, because that's where most studies were from, and there were a lot of things, say 20, 30 years ago, they were using that to try to shut down that sort of thing. But now most places it's become legal and has been medicinal for even longer. But terpenes basically are what give most plants and some insects, their distinct look and smell. They are commonly responsible for, and well, definitely the smell, because they're most commonly responsible for sending the signals to attract the pollinators or the plant, animal, and insect life that feeds off of them. But it's also a defense system. It also repels certain things. Say when they tell you to companion garden, plant this with this or that with that, it's either meant for one feeds the other or one protects the other, that sort of thing. That's what most terpenes generally do. Now,
is it the terpenes and the cannabis that make people high?
No, the terpenes, that would be the THC, which is something completely separate.
What do the terpenes do?
So the terpenes, again, primarily the smell, and they help the flavonoids with color as well. But they do come with the different, say with cannabis, they've identified just over 200 specific different terpenes that are confirmed to be found in cannabis. There's claims to be well over 400. However, when you get into fruits, you're going to much fewer. But the common ones are generally found. And here in blueberries, they've identified 8 different terpenes, and 5 of them are really common. So beta myrcene. Myrcene's the most common terpene found in nature, but it provides the sweet herbal base and hint of fruitiness that comes in the fruit. And in the right pairings, it serves as a mild sedative or even a pain reliever.
I've heard that it's a cousin to morphine.
In a lot of ways, correct.
Except this is good on your liver.
Right, exactly. And
you're not going to get the high from morphine. You're not going to get completely.
No, and that's the thing is you're not gonna eat fruit, considering how much of it you've got to eat to do that. The rest of your system's going to tell you, nah, settle down.
Okay,
we work
wait.
behind the scenes.
You can't tell me though, Tom, you haven't ate a whole bunch of fruits and gone out in the woods and not felt a buzz.
Oh yeah. It's not.
Have you ever heard of the entourage effect?
It's not the same. It's not quite the same. But that's it. With the entourage effect, many of these fruits you pair with.
Wait, you've never smoked weed before?
I have not.
So how would you know?
Because I know plenty of people that do.
And they explain to you?
Absolutely. Plus, I'm a reader. So.
No, I do smoke a little, very high terpene though, and from my experience, this myrcene and these terpenes, I will go very, very low THC, re- and I will get really high different terpenes. And if you go into the woods, or if you go into like even if I'm looking at Tom's yard here, this would be a very therapeutic place
Mhm.
to be able to, even if it was just CBD,
Right.
just to be able, because there's a compound in it that relaxes you.
Correct.
And I don't, Tom probably knows more of the science behind that, but this entourage effect, like I've experienced it
Yep.
without having any cannabis. I've experienced
Yep.
it by having a whole bunch of fruits for a couple days on time, and then going out and walking in the woods. I've experienced something very similar.
Yeah, and that's it, because what you're doing there is you're combining some of the major terpenes in a crossover, hence entourage effect when they come alongside each other. And that's the thing with terpene and when you smoke, or with myrcene and the smoke, that does that tends to, the studies show that it tends to relax you a little bit more.
They say in mango, if a lot of people claim like, oh,
Correct.
mango is the one where you do it and you get the entourage effect.
Mind you,
It's all of them.
yep,
It's all of
exactly.
them.
Any of them.
This one right here, grapefruit.
Grapefruit is a
Now
strong one.
they will tell you in medical field, I want you to look this one up, okay? Do your own research on this. Don't go by me. I'm not going to tell you what to do with this. But the doctors will say this interferes with medications.
Mhm.
Do your own research on that one.
Yep.
Because there is an entourage effect that comes with this. This one actually gave me one of the most weirdest entourage effects I've ever had is this grapefruit because I don't know if it's the terpenes in it or what it was, but this is what really I taught me that there is an entourage effect in this. I had never really
Mhm.
heard of it before.
I believe the medical field discourages grapefruits because it interferes with the effectiveness of statins.
What is statins?
Statins are what people are prescribed with high cholesterol.
Some
To
people
help.
eat the peel.
Oh yeah, it's good for you. It's actually the funny thing with citrus fruit. The peel is where the peel and that white pith is where all the best stuff belongs, and it interferes with the effectiveness of the statins. But the funny thing is,
This stuff is really good for you right here,
grapefruit
but I'm not
is
gonna.
more of a natural statin. So it's one of those things where they both exist, but they fight each other. Whereas the grapefruit's natural, the statins are lab produced. So
Gotcha.
it's a matter of being careful, and I do appreciate that the medical field made their requirements for prescribing statins much more strict. It used to be, if they felt, well, it's your numbers are higher than I want them to be, take the statin. Now now you have to fit particular criteria, and so it's a case of just being careful with what you're being prescribed, why you're being prescribed, and understanding that there's got to be, pardon me a second.
One of the things you can see too is if you look into this grapefruit, you can see all these little you just look at that stuff that's full of water that your body desperately needs on these solar flash days or
Correct. And
these
that's the
solar.
beauty of fruit in general. So, but definitely, if you're in a position of needing a prescription for something, make sure you do your homework. These prescriptions may seem like the easy road, but they don't compare to taking the natural route. So back on these terpenes, so beta myrcene, I told you, what that is. Next is called linalool. What that does is it adds the subtle spicy and woody notes that give the berry profile more depth.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things where you may not be able to particularly point it out when you take a bite into it, but you realize there's a little something extra there. Uh, this also plays a huge part in how your nervous system works, and has been studied as what they call an anticonvulsant. What that means is there's a strong possibility that the linalool terpene helps combat seizures. And there
Interesting.
are plenty of videos out there. I know there was one that
So it's not
you would
THC.
no, it is not. It is something else, and it's really these terpenes and flavonoids exist a little bit separately from both the CBD and the THC, but they do tend to blend in with the CBD a little more.
Rachel Knox has some tremendous
Yes,
information. She is, in my opinion, the best in the world
and
at
I'm
describing it. She doesn't have a ton of information just because I think the world isn't, they're not quite there yet, but
right.
people have to understand that there's terpenes in nature, there's terpenes in whole foods, there's terpenes in turkey. When you eat a
Correct.
turkey, I don't even eat meat, but I will, when I give my mom food, I give her turkey because
Yeah,
there's serotonin in it, and there's so much stuff that we can do if we just get a little educated
yeah,
on this.
and it was one of her videos that you had shared with me that she started with a case with a woman, I believe, from the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and Parkinson's disease,
Mm-hmm.
and or some form of it. So to the point where, she had the shakes and couldn't control them, and any of the medications and treatment she was getting in the medical system just wasn't working. And they decided to try something radical. And she started, I don't know if she smoked it or if she went
I
by
think it was an
edibles or
oil or something.
that's right. It was applied via oil, kind of like the CBD oils,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you're going to find it. And literally within a day, I mean, the effects were almost instant.
Mm-hmm.
And with that in her routine, then really took care of many of the symptoms, and she was actually able to function. She could walk more often without a walker, and
Which is
you know,
it's unbelievable because my brother used to have seizures all the time.
mhm,
He'd end up in the hospital for days and days.
yep,
And they gave him different medication that needed more medication, that needed
hmm
more medication, that needed more
exactly,
medication. And he ended up passing in his 30s in a large part because his heart couldn't handle all the medication. I'm not saying that this could have stopped it, but it was not even on the
I
table.
was going to say there were no alternatives, or at least none that the system would allow to look into.
Not even like a high terpene. Not even I'm not even talking about cannabis. I'm just saying
No,
just a high terpene
yep,
type of solution to all this stuff because
correct,
there is really something in these terpenes.
correct. And one of the things I've learned is much like with fruit, where you can pretty much there's no such thing as too much fruit.
Hmm.
Diabetics do have to be careful with which fruits sometimes or how much of it, but at the same time, compared to any other fruit or substance on the planet that we consume,
Hmm.
fruits and vegetables are pretty much off the list of you can't get into trouble with them.
Yeah.
And same goes for these terpenes and flavonoids. The only way if you're getting them from your natural sources, you're never going to have an issue with them.
That's
They're
why you
going to
go out
help
into
you.
a garden with all kinds of flowers.
Yep,
Um,
correct.
I have rosemary in my garden.
There you
It's
go.
a
Oh,
terpene. I have
it's good for your brain.
what
That
is
smell is
what
good
is
for your
that
brain.
purple one called? It lavender.
Lavender. Yep,
It's all a terpene. It's
correct.
all, and I never even liked any. I'm not even a flower kind of guy. But when I found out the terpenes and how it was actually making, because there's codes, there's messages it sends in your body,
Yep.
and it helps with different terpenes do different things, and so I started growing these things in my garden just so that I can be around it because I noticed a difference.
Yep. And that's the thing is aromatherapy is nothing new. That's been around. That's been still to this day still considered new age
Hmm.
in so many levels. But guess guess where all those essential oils really began? I mean, pretty much all of them are plant derived as it
Yep.
is. So that's exactly it. That's
Yep.
those essential oils, terpenes
That's what
are
they
the
are.
building blocks behind them.
That's why when they say calm on it, I mean it. I mean, those things actually work. Now, is it going to be the same kind of calm if you smoke a joint?
It's definitely not.
Probably
It's
not.
not the same.
But over time,
But
you stack that up over time. You put yourself in the garden, you eat fruit over time, you go out in nature over time. That stuff starts to change your whole body.
correct. Yep. Now on to the next. representation in the blueberry. This one you've definitely become very common with. It's both the alpha and the beta pinene.
Hmm.
And when you hear the word pine, absolutely, it is most related to pine trees or your coniferous trees that you find out in the forest. But and it does it adds to that earthy or piney aftertaste that blueberries tend to have, and it's not offensive. Anyone that loves blueberries knows that you get that blueberry with that nice little that's just underripe and it's got that nice
Yeah.
little sour edge to it. That's pinene shining through.
Hmm.
um, but pinene is another one that helps impact your mood.
Hmm.
If it helps level
I have
you
them all
out.
over my yard.
Yeah.
Pines all over my
um,
yard.
but also it's key in serotonin regulation and is also a heavily used antibacterial.
Mm.
Cleans the garbage. I mean, yeah, you go out and decide you're going to hug a pine tree, you're probably going to get a bunch of pine pitch on you, but guess what? The pitch is good for you.
Yeah.
It's good for you. You won't necessarily get that kind of stickiness from a blueberry, but you're going to get some of those effects.
If you study the pines, they are a very, very ancient tree.
Yeah.
They were in the natives used to have they were guardians. They were
Mhm.
viewed because the natives viewed the trees as relatives, and the pines were actually the guardians. I resonate with that a lot because if you there's almost every part of a pine that you can use that helps you, whether that be the bark, the
Mhm.
pine, you can the needles themselves, you can boil that up and you can drink that. The if you even hold the pine, the what are they called? The pine cones or whatever the pine cones. Because I live in if those cones all have seeds in them, each one of those little things have a seed inside of them. They're really an amazing tree.
Right.
Very, very intriguing tree.
Absolutely. And part of that, and it's these terpenes are a key part of that because of how that antibacterial and moods and serotonin. These terpenes are the reason why blueberries are natural anti-inflammatories. They're hitting the inflammation and the swelling that you've got from the inside working back out. Um, not so much. It's not so much one of those joint relievers type things, but it definitely gets into the muscles
Well,
and
it
frees up.
hydrates you.
Correct, and
A
it
lot of
frees a
hydration.
lot of that connective tissue, the fascia and such that's running through your body. It helps get that functioning
Yeah.
the way you need it. And then finally, commonly found in most citrus fruit is the D-limonene, and that's where you get that bright citrusy high note to the smell. You get that nice berry smell to it, and it's from that limonene. But most of the limonene that gets in our system, it's generally from touch.
Hmm.
Say you get more that grapefruit that Jasen had, you get more limonene from the rind, the
Hmm.
outside, just holding on to it, than you actually do consuming it from the meat of the fruit.
Sure.
Um, but it aids in digestion, especially with blueberries, because this limonene is virtually water insoluble, meaning it doesn't break. It's like a fiber. It doesn't break down in your system. It's gonna go in and obviously you're generally going to chew it up, or it will get torn apart a little bit, but it'll work its way through the system. But the best part about that is a lot of the bad stuff that might be in your system at the time is going to be drawn to it,
Hmm.
and it's going to take that out with it.
Hmm.
So um, it's I call it the bad stuff, but again, it's more free radicals. It helps with blood sugar control, as well as does help with getting some of that cholesterol out of your system, the bad stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so really got a little long-winded on it, but what we can really say about blueberries is you can't beat them. There are plenty you can go with it, but you want to get out while the season's in.
The last thing about the fruit part is, you got to understand with our bodies the way we're. I was recently at my doctor's appointment with my mom and her. She has type 2 diabetes and with her doctor with that. And they are saying that they're finding that biggest reason why people are having these issues is because of hydration.
Hmm.
Because people are very, very dehydrated. So when you're eating fruits, you can see how hydrating this is. Yeah, I can just kind of
Yep.
squeeze that and look at all that. That is not the kind of water that you get from a fountain. That is a
No.
different type of water, a different it's a structure. You can call it whatever you want. It's a different type of fluid, and it hits our body. So these terpenes, we can get them in through our
Hmm.
nose and all that. But when you're getting them in, anything that you can get and you can digest through a liquid is
Hmm.
it flows. It becomes almost an electrical. It's hard to explain, but it becomes more of an electric. Our body is more of a. That's how the free radicals.
Hmm.
Free radicals are electric.
Yep.
These things are. Our body is an electric being. We are not just flesh and blood. We are more the minerals and the vitamins. That's all. How electricity works in our body.
Well, just how a molecule or an atom works. You've got your protons, electrons, and neutrons.
Yes.
That's we're billions and kabillions and whatever of them all pieced together.
The first man was named Adam. Adam. Atom.
There you go.
We're atoms.
Yep.
We're electrical. And for some reason we forgot.
Yeah.
And the way I look at fruit is this is a socket and I just need to plug into that. And it can be this. Now, if I'm really thirsty, it's really hot, I get a lot of grapefruit and a lot of watermelon. If I want digestion, I'll eat a lot of pineapple.
Hmm.
These things that Tom's talking about, the blueberries, I'll eat the blueberries.
Yep.
But blueberries are one of them. They're very, very hydrating. Make sure you get a lot of fruit for the if you just start when you're thirsty, say instead of getting a whole bunch of water, especially if you have fountain water, city water, try to grab some fruit. Just grab a handful of fruit.
And that's you make a really strong point, because what happens if we're not eating fruit and we get thirsty? What do? We go get a water and we chug it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not doing us any favors.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-mm.
if your system's working well, if it's processing it, you might overload it a little bit, but you're finding you're needing to flush your system out a little more often.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go to the restroom more, because you're putting too much in. Because it's coming in such a high volume, it's not given the time to spread out throughout your system.
Exactly.
Whereas when you're eating fruit, the liquid that's coming in, that juice and the water in the fruit, is in more of a digestible
And most of
dose.
that goes into our blood, and most of it
Yes,
goes into our bodies because our body's it needs fluid. I can
they're
feel it.
organ cleaners.
I used to be so tight in my shoulders and all over, but now I can just kind of go all over my body and just kind of because I eat basically almost only fruit. I'll have every once in a while, I'll have like a pizza or something like that, and just the salt alone from
Mhm.
one meal now will make me. I'll have to eat a whole bunch, and I think, what was I doing when I was that was all I was eating was salt, 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 salt.
Yep.
I had no idea how
And
dehydrated I
it
was.
wasn't the good salt. It was generally processed.
Some salt's good, but yes, but yeah,
Yeah,
we could
more
we
of
could
that
go all
high
day on this
sodium. Yeah.
subject, really.
But yeah, seasons in. So even if you don't have farms nearby, I guarantee you your local grocery stores are going to have them in stock at probably the best price of the year.
Yeah,
Get your hands on them.
yeah.
And say, if you get out the farmer's market or you pick, figure out how all the different ways you can preserve them, because you can freeze them, if you do the air seal bags and such.
Yeah.
But the next time you decide to blend up your blueberries in a smoothie, add about up to a teaspoon of cinnamon with it.
Okay.
Those two go together, they activate each other. There are a lot of herb and fruit pairings that the benefits increase when you put them together. They help each other unlock their potential. What you'll find is you'll be a little bit warmed from the inside out, and that's both of them working together. They're what I call a bona fide power couple. And they unlock the best of each other.
I like that.
So, moving along, we've kind of touched on the solar situation, and here at the peak, it looks like the sun is getting out. It seems to be washing out the haze up high, even though it's still down here low. But here we've got Jasen's really gotten himself in with, mind you, I'm going to be staring here at the computer a little bit.
Yeah.
But Jasen's really dug in with the Schumann resonance. Um, let's put this
Yeah,
up
a
first.
lot of people, and even
Kind
going back to like the fruits and the things like that, a lot of people they deal with addictions, you know.
Mhm.
We have it could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be, you know, I have people that have dealt with meth. I have people that have dealt with, you know, they're trying to get off vaping or cigarettes or just so many different type of addictions. And a lot of people don't know there's a lot of small things you can do that
Mhm.
help you overcome. Not necessarily not overcome completely all on your own, but they will help you. And, you know, 18 months ago, I stopped drinking, right? I was drinking a
Yeah.
lot and I just kind of had a moment, right? And I got really in touch with this thing right here, the sun. I started recognizing that my ears were ringing. You know, a lot of people are having this. I started recognizing that I needed to be outside more. I wanted to all of a sudden start gardening.
Right.
I wanted to start going on walks. Now, I've always been a nature person. I grew up in 1979 when I was born, so I grew up and we didn't have cell phones and we were outside a lot. But,
Yep.
you know, over the last 20, 25 years with cell
What's the
phone,
internet?
been out. I've been inside a lot. You know, that's what people are. You know, we're kind of
Mhm.
in these little, everywhere we go, you know, we're
Mhm.
inside. And something flipped. And it's like I recognized that this sun thing in the earth, there's more going on than we know, than what we're being taught, that what science has given us. And now, this was about 18 months ago, I started really getting into this. Now, a lot of stuff is coming out. Like, even
Mhm.
now on the news, they're starting to say things, and, you know, mainstream media, and not that that should be our gauge, but I feel like whenever the mainstream media starts talking like this, they realize they have to, because too
Right.
many people are starting to understand all this. They're starting to realize that there's something going on with these solar flares. They're starting to realize there's something happens with this Schumann resonance.
Yep. You just let me know which one you want, and I'll make sure it's up
I'm
for you.
gonna start with the picture I took this morning. And
Which would be the sun.
yeah, I just took a picture this morning. Now over here, like we're talking about, I just want to give you a little cool picture. If you live over in Michigan or whatever, get out earlier in the sun. I didn't know this, but if you take pictures, you can get a picture like this on here
Yep.
because it's there's a lot of particles in its way. But if you look at that, man, we can never really look at the sun like that. Not even our phones. And
Right.
you know, the sun right now in July, it's active. Like it's active. We can go to
Mhm.
the next slide.
Yep.
Um,
Now, what people don't necessarily is trying to remember. I believe that it seems counterintuitive, but isn't the sun the furthest away from us right now?
at this time of the year,
Yeah, whereas in the wintertime it's actually closest to us,
I believe so. It's actually closer in the wintertime.
which is really weird because you would think if we're closer to it, we're going to be hotter.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct. Now you can see this Schumann resonance, and what the Schumann resonance is our Earth's atmosphere. They actually in Italy and Russia they have these places where they have these big rods that go down into the Earth, and they record the vibration that's happening, the frequency and the vibration that's happening in our Earth.
is it like a heartbeat?
It is really close to what you would call a heartbeat,
Hmm.
you know, and it's really interesting because I had never heard of this. And I'm telling you, you might have heard of it, but there's millions and millions and millions of people have just never
Yeah,
heard of this.
I'd heard of the name, but I would never have been able to have told you what it was.
I talk to people about this stuff all the time. They're like, huh? And because we've never really been taught it. Now, the funny thing is the Earth's frequency is it's been at 7.83, I think it is, for as long as we know.
Hmm.
And inside of us, you know, when you go to a doctor's and you get your heart checked, what do? They put this little machine all over you. What are they checking for? It's an electronic machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's checking for your heart's electricity that's going through your
The
heart.
EKG,
The EKG. It's an electronic something, blah, blah, blah.
electrocardiogram.
There's two frequencies that go through our body, and they meet at the same frequency that the Earth's heartbeat is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are synced up. Our bodies have been synced up since the beginning of time to whatever the Earth, whatever you can see on this graph down there, it's been synced up to that since the day one.
Yep.
That's how connected we are to this planet.
Is this today's?
This was
Read.
last night.
Okay, last night.
So as you can see yesterday, actually it was not last night, but the night before, there was a big spike. Then
Mhm.
it got pretty calm. And you if you look at it, you look at from the left going to the right, and there's actually hours on this. And about last night, about 9:30, you can see this really big white spike go all the way down. If you kind of see that
Yep.
towards the right side there.
Yep.
And what that white spike is that's actually when the white is when the earth is taking in energy.
Okay.
So it could have been a lot of electricity, but a lot of times when there is like a natural phenomenon or something's going that's just not normal with the earth will take it in. It will suck that in and it converts it back into different energy.
Yep.
And that energy, I don't know if it's has to do with the the sun and all these forest fires. It could be that earthquakes make it go off.
Hmm.
Hurricanes make these things these white because it's there's an energy behind all of it.
Correct.
Energy is what's here.
If yeah, I was going to say anybody that's generally around a budding thunderstorm or when you're in tornado conditions, you literally feel, we we associate it with thunder and lightning, but really everything really starts, the electrical feel all around us really spikes.
Yeah.
It really gets heavier. You can feel it. And it's not saying that you're about ready to get hit by lightning or thunder or anything, but it just means that the earth is really feeling
Yeah.
everything that's going on around
Well,
it.
the earth has a feeling. And like if I was to come up to you with a needle and poke you,
Mm-hmm.
your heart would probably go,
Yep.
and that's what happens. The difference is the earth right now is changing, its frequency is changing, it's rising.
Yep.
And so that is causing our frequency in our bodies to rise. And it's not like all of a sudden we're like huge. It's a slow, gradual change that they've been noticing for the last few years that the Earth's frequency is changing, the Earth's heartbeat is changing. So last night, about 9:30, we had a big spike. And that is you might have felt that. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't, if you get ringing in ears, if you have a lot of emotions, a lot of deja vu. Some people lately, I've been getting a lot of people telling me they're getting very, very, very vivid dreams.
Oh yeah.
And then there's other people I'm talking to that usually get vivid dreams. They're not having, and this is me. I'm not getting any dreams. And I've heard a few people that it's almost like they're sleeping so hard that they're not getting any dreams. And all this can be true. It's what the earth is trying to do to us at this very point.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
what it's talking to us.
No, and now with this, you had shared a video with me, and the person that was talking about the graph that they had in front of them kind of equated it to a little bit of what's still considered New Age or Far East
Yeah.
type, chakra connections.
Yep.
Where, if anybody that's not familiar with chakras, it's different levels, pretty much from your feet up.
Yep.
And each one of these lines can kind of represent
Yep.
one of those, and as it's heavier, is it as it's heavier tends to impact it a little more,
Mhm.
whichever area, say whether it's your feet, your midsection, your throat,
Yes.
that sort of thing.
Yes.
So
I think this is where the curiosity really should come in because I don't think there's going to be a lot of scientists that take this on
yep.
because
Aside from just here's what the readings on the graph are.
and one of the reasons this is because if you have anxiety, it's really easy to say, hey, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
You have a problem. Well, it's kind of hard to say, you know what, we might kind of all collectively have anxiety because the Earth's frequencies are changing a little bit. And it's liberating to know that when you wake up in the morning and you're feeling a lot of anxiety, that maybe that's not just your anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is I mean, we all, as generally the same as we are, we really are all different.
Yeah.
We respond to different stimuli different ways.
Yeah.
It's just a case of making sure, understanding what's right for you, where you're at.
Yes.
And if something isn't working, then you make sure that you make the adjustments you need to be at your best.
Yep. And now going on to like the solar flares, because these two things work together. The solar flares, we had a massive solar flare July 4th, and it will push off what they call CMUs, which is basically stardust. It's a bunch of particles that come from it's codes, it's information that comes from the sun in it. And when you get these solar flares, sometimes they can go to the side and not go directly to the earth, but sometimes they come in right at the earth.
Yep.
And when they come right at the earth, you wouldn't believe how big of storms these things are. We're talking about they knock out satellites, they knock out they in the past they've knocked out grids. There was one that happened in 1800s or something like that, 1880s or something. And if that would have happened today, it would have completely melted everything.
Right.
All the technology we have.
Shut it down.
That's a little nerve-wracking in itself that that these solar flares are happening at a very high rate, and they're getting a lot more sporadic. They have a lot more of them that they get tangled up and they create even bigger, sprays and they're throwing all this electricity at us. Now, this is not to scare you. This is one of the reasons I'm outside a lot.
They're responsible for the aurora borealis up north.
Correct.
Yep. And just last year, we had one that was so bright that they were able to see it as far south as Georgia and Texas.
It's incredible.
Yep. And that's very rare.
And this is the reason that started to hit me, and my ears were ringing so bad when I would notice during solar flares, my ears would just start ringing really bad. And thank God that they're not ringing so bad today, but they've been ringing a lot. And a lot of it has to do with what's happening with these solar flares, hitting our atmosphere, hitting our bodies, absorbing into our bodies. Our bodies take in these particles, and they open up different parts of us that we didn't know emotionally. And if you see right here, you got the solar flare. So there's a C1 that is a smaller solar flare. So these are what today could bring. The K index, that's the wind. That's actually how fast these are. And that's mid. That's kind of quick, One is slow. So I think 6 or 7 is when it's coming at us really hard. So we have a lot of magnetic, wind coming in.
Solar wind is different than the air.
Correct.
Wind.
Correct. You got to understand, man,
intensity is something else entirely.
All this around us, everything we see, everything we do, it's all electric.
Yep.
It's all electric. It's like what we were talking about, atoms, atoms, molecules. So, and then the last thing with this is we talked about the Schumann.
Yep.
So we already know. I want to go one last slide here where we can kind of see where some of the spots are to be looking for over the next couple days. We're going to come on here. I might come on here a little bit more, but if you go on my Facebook, I try to keep this up every morning, where we're at. I get up first thing in the morning because I want to know where my family's at. I want to know where everyone's at. I don't want to be, if I see that there's big spikes overnight, I know that it's going to affect me, and I know it's going to affect my family. So it kind of helps me mentally prepare for the day if I know that there's some stuff coming on. So you can see where there's green, and then there's red, and there's white. Those are where there's some pretty active spots. That's where we would keep an eye out for the next solar flares to happen. There's a lot of sites you can go on and watch this stuff. I recommend just start being aware of the sun.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Just be aware. I put a lot of stuff out there. I'm going to talk about the stuff because awareness is the most important thing with all this stuff, guys.
Yep. Make sure the more, some of us are a little more sensitive to the sun than others. Sunscreen's not your enemy, but make sure you're not blocking it entirely. I mean, you do need to absorb some of it. And that's the beauty. No matter what number on your sunscreen, you're still going to get some.
Yeah.
So, and this is one of those things where it can change drastically.
Drastically. And they affect each other. You'll notice when there's a solar flare, there's not a lot of science on this, but you'll just notice when there's solar flares, you'll notice that the Schumann resonance just starts getting really big, big, huge spikes. And that's, there's a lot of YouTube sites. I like to explore it all.
Yep.
I like to look at it all and see what a lot of people have to say about it.
This is you say it's something that's just kind of starting to poke into a little bit more into the mainstream, but is this something that um, they're able to predict ahead of time more than a day in advance?
They're working on
Or is
technology
it,
to want to do that.
or is it more of they can speculate what they're expecting? So
They're working on it. The problem is the stuff that they're working on, in my opinion, violates natural law.
gotcha.
There's things that they're trying to do that I think might violate natural law, but I'm not sure on that, you know. I would like to see, I know like even right now they're shooting up
The light, the
yeah,
light
a
satellite.
satellite, and I think it's what is like 50 by 50 or something
Yep.
like that's this big huge mirror.
Yep.
And what they want to do is they want to be able to take, if we need extra sun, we need extra electricity,
Hmm.
we should be able to pull that from the sun and have it hit the earth, right? So they're doing a pilot one, and over the next like 7, 8 years, they want to make it where it's what is it like? Uh, I don't know. It's massive,
Yeah.
just massive mirror. I can't remember if it's like
I
60
don't
by
remember.
60
Yeah, I was gonna
miles.
say I don't remember the specs, but
I think it's 60 by 60 miles.
the humanitarian side of it is they're saying that it's meant for search and rescue
Yeah,
operations. Um, Depending on what rabbit holes you dive down, there'll be people that tell you, well, they've already got these up there, and they use them to set these wildfires.
yeah.
They get into conspiracy.
Well, they also say if there's situations at night where we need more light.
Correct, and that's it. That's where the search and rescue type situations, where say with planes and ships that go down out in the ocean, where there is absolutely no light unless the rescuers come in on it. They might have the ability to.
But wouldn't that mess all our melatonin and the animal
Yeah,
melatonin
I
up?
was gonna say, mind you, at the poles, the closer you get to the poles, you run into those situations where 6 months out of the year, most of the year, they're either shrouded in complete or mostly light or shrouded in complete darkness, mostly darkness throughout the year. My younger brother, during his Air Force days, spent, I think, 1 to 2 years in Greenland. And
Wow.
when he got there, it was right while they were in complete darkness.
Mm.
So it's one of those things where it does mess with what they call your circadian rhythm.
Yeah.
It definitely does. Um, we have this built-in system in our bodies that is connected to what it expects, the daily amount of light and the daily amount of dark, and it gets used to that. And when you start messing with that, it starts to throw more than anything. It'll start throwing off sleeping patterns, and when sleeping patterns get interrupted, that's when we start running into more of the um, mental and social or mental and emotional concerns, and um, fight with that too long, and it will start to impact us physically too, because our body starts to get confused about when it's supposed to call it a day, when it's supposed to call it the start of a day. And
It seems to me that this project is really going to be expensive.
oh
Like
yeah,
I'm talking about
definitely.
a lot of money. And it seems to me like for search and rescue, like that's a lot of money to be doing on something like that. And my take on this is they know this sun power is this
Because
is
that's
the stuff, right?
I would guarantee you that
There's
even
other
though
plans in this.
yep, exactly, even though the public information says it's to add extra light in emergency situations, the truth is they're studying more and more ways of how can we harness this.
And they know, and I think it's important for us to know.
Yep.
We need to start.
We need to stay informed. We need to be on top of it, because you know honestly, we're human beings, and if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. And what's the
Look at our
truth?
kids. They
Yeah.
don't even when they go to school, they don't even have they don't even some schools
The
don't even
window,
have
the
windows. Some
window.
don't even
Yep.
have any
Correct.
windows.
Correct.
I was watching a show last night in a documentary where the school doesn't even have windows. They have cement walls, they have white walls that and then you have a lot of places works and
Fluorescent
cubicles and
lighting.
air conditioning putting in all the stuff on us, and
Yep.
we're so disconnected from the sun.
Yep.
Some people they don't even see it.
Well, and that's the other thing is, when we've got our devices now, we're stuck on those even more. whether we're indoors or outdoors.
I'm almost to the point where I think
You unplug really well too.
I think the fruit and the sun go hand in hand.
They do.
I think these two work when you put this in you and you marry it with that. I think that's what really lights it up.
Well, have you ever tried to grow those in the dark?
No.
Doesn't work.
Hmm. Interesting. Huh? Is there any fruit you can grow in the dark?
Mushrooms, if you want to call them fruits, they kind of walk that line where they get their own category between fruit and vegetable,
Huh.
but that's where they thrive. So, potatoes, they grow anything that grows underground, but at the same time, they still need the sun because they generally have a plant growing above ground that's feeding them. So,
well, I think this brings us to our last little
subject. Just really a brief section because currently we're dealing with cyclosporiasis, or as most people know it, the diarrhea disease. And by all reports, everything seems to be tied back to Taco Bell. But the truth of the matter is, you're dealing with it is a food handling thing, a mix of food handling or proper food handling, but not even so much at the business end, but it's where it starts. Most of this is pre-bagged greens that's been chopped and processed and packaged for food service or for the grocery stores. But the conditions were probably wrong, or something was wrong with the conditions when they prepared them and sealed them in the bags.
Yeah.
And then there's also that a strong possibility, because we know that a lot of the food that we do get at the stores tends to spend a little extra time on refrigerated trucks, for a long time before they actually hit the shelves. And, kind of a first in, first out type thing. And when they've got a surplus, then it might take a little bit longer. That's why you get some of those sales you do at the stores.
Yeah.
But by the time it got to be the food service, it gets dumped out into the containers they serve it in. They probably just dumped it right from the bag right into the container. They did not bother to take it through and do a troubleshooting wash. They took for granted that everything would be fine. And that's usually how these outbreaks tend to start. Yes, this is a serious condition. People are dealing with it. People I know are dealing with it. It's basically food poisoning plus, but it's very treatable. Making sure I don't think the medical system is necessarily medicating it, but they're encouraging hydration, obviously, because people are losing a lot of hydration. But there are certain foods that are easy on your digestive system that you're able, rice and applesauce, things along those lines, that either help things travel or help absorb things, but keep things moving, that you're able to get into your system. So you're still able to keep your energy up to a degree. So it's not something that we need to buy into fear. These things happen.
Aren't they saying, like, I keep saying it's all about fruit. Everyone's fruit.
There are
fruit
people
bears.
they're stacking it to produce in general. But the funny thing is, here's the thing with your produce. Know your sources. Where are you getting it from? Chances are I haven't been in the grocery store since a lot of the news about the outbreak has really happened.
But like, how big of a thing is this? Like 1%?
It's a little bit heavier than that, I think. But again, what percentage of our population is getting enough fruit in a day compared to how much of our population is hitting up fast food and restaurants multiple times
that
a day?
We know
correct
has chemicals in it.
Correct.
We know has stuff in it that hurts people. Yep. And they're putting in the stuff that's coming out. Yep. I mean, I could go on the news and you can go right on my reels and see daily just the stuff that they're putting in food. That's just we're finding out McDonald's are actually dipping their burgers and stuff. It's crazy.
But that's the thing is.
But if you want to look that stuff up on the news, you're not going to find barely anything.
You're definitely not going to find anything positive or counterintuitive to actually truly fight it. It's going to be It's basically going to be information that's geared more towards shutting down some important and vital business systems that we've got that are really good for us. And that's the thing though, is whatever produce you get, make sure that when you get it home, before you're going to consume any of it, make sure you're washing it or treating it. And one of the big things, especially for helping to preserve strawberries when you get them home, give them a vinegar wash.
With some baking soda.
Yeah, and baking soda works as well. But yeah, you do currently, until the all clear is given, you do want to avoid a lot of the prepackaged cut up salad mixes, and be careful with your fresh herbs. I mean, here the last few weeks I've been working with fresh basil, but I grew it myself.
Just use your, before you get on the whole beer bandwagon, I honestly don't think Americans care if we're sick or not. I really don't, because why? Most people on these summer nights, like, they don't mind going out and having, a few drinks that they know is putting stuff in them that's not gonna make them feel good. It's gonna literally make them sick. They know that. That's called a hangover. Millions of Americans are gonna wake up tomorrow with a hangover, poisoned with ethanol in their blood. Nothing wrong. I'm not against, but that's just a fact. That's what you're getting when you're getting ethanol.
Yep. We tell ourselves we're just dehydrated.
I feel like part of my job is to defend fruit, because it just seems like the little bit of publicity it ever gets, it's always negative. It never gets the, like, hey, this is awesome, it's cheap, it's, this is gonna, all the stuff just on a blueberry that Tom just read. You're not gonna hear that from a mainstream media. But they don't say when, if you want to go find what's really going out there with all this fast food and all that stuff and the stats, they hide all that stuff. I really try to find stuff where that's exposed a little bit of that. And I only like using the mainstream media so I don't get shut down, because if I use anything else, they shut me down. But if I throw mainstream media, they're like, oh yeah, this is fact.
It's out there. Yep.
So when you do with fruits, every once in a while, they're like, hey, good fruit thing. It's like almost like they're giving a little thing. But most of the time, if there's something like this, it's just fruit. And I want to tell you, don't be afraid of fruit, okay? Get it, clean it, wash it. Don't be afraid of fruit. I'm telling you guys, there's a system out there that doesn't want you to eat fruit. I don't know what that system has done to make us think that we're getting it. But I feel like there's a strategy. Why do I think this? Because literally almost every holiday, I would say to this point, every Hollywood movie I watch has a scene in it just designated for fruit.
Yeah.
Like there's a segment in it that they'll cut out that they're making a point. And I would say that 99.9% of people fly by those scenes and they don't even see that. But me, now that I'm really fruit aware, I almost see what they're trying to do. And you got to be aware that there's a lot of people that make money off us not eating fruit.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, the reports are becoming much more common, with a lot of the cheaper processed foods or the fast foods. There are a lot of things being mixed in with this stuff where it's no longer, they can't deny it any longer. It's put in there for the sake of adding to our addictive nature. You talked about Dr. Ross, and she talks in depth about the endocannabinoid system, which is connected to what they call what is it? The bliss molecule, the reward center of our brain.
Rachel Knox.
Yeah, Rachel Knox. Yes. But that reward center of our brain, and a lot of these food, they've done tests and I had said they'd done tests with the terpenes and such, trying to turn that off, trying to get people to stop smoking cannabis or stop using products with it. And that was, about 20 years ago. Now these different processed food systems are actually using it in the opposite direction, and putting this stuff, and not in a healthy manner either, mind you, into these cheaper processed foods, and getting it's causing an addiction, because it's triggering that system.
And it's one of the hardest addictions to break. It's right up there with alcohol.
Yep. And considering the nutritional value we're not getting out of a lot of that food, the side effect, we already see the side effects in society.
70% of Americans' diet is processed food.
Yep.
70%.
Yep.
And we're worried about, I'm sorry, guys, this diarrhea thing. Kids go to these fast food places every day and get diarrhea
Yep.
because they're getting
But
poisoned,
that's
and
but
it's
that's
not
where
going to be on the
a
media.
lot
And
of
I
this
just
is
had
coming from.
some of my kids, my kids, if they want to eat that stuff and they come home, they got tummy ache, they're sick. I'm like, that's fine. You ate poison, you get it. I don't eat that stuff anymore. People can choose what they want. If someone wants to go out and have a fun time and get drunk and have fun, that's awesome. But then the next day they have to deal with consequences that they poisoned themselves.
Correct.
And I just have a problem with the media that's just this loud about, and they keep showing fruit. And I'm like, everyone's poisoning themselves all the time, all over. And we're worried. I like literally, you go to a boat ramp and watch all the chemicals coming up from all the mufflers and we're worried about, I'm sorry, I know it's giving people diarrhea. I'm pretty sure two of my kids had it last week, by the way. They had diarrhea, and I guess my wife and I were not that sympathetic. We're just like, well, we'll load up on the toilet paper.
It happens.
It happens.
But yeah, the big thing, and it's something that we stand on pretty firmly. Whole food diets.
Whole food
You know, and
diets.
that doesn't, and that means, whatever your general diet is. I mean, I'm still a pretty prolific meat eater, but I've increased my fruit and vegetable intake to beyond my handling of ribs and burgers and such. But I cook my own.
There you go.
I know where they come from. I know how they were handled, and then I know how I handle them.
Even hot dogs, there's places you can go, even around here, where you can go into these farms and they make the hot dogs that
Yep.
are made out of 100% whole food.
Yep.
You just got to spend a little bit more money. But what you'll find with Whole Foods,
Quality comes with it, though.
you get more full.
Yep.
My expense that I spend on my diet is way down because fruit's relatively cheap and it's pretty affordable. And then I find like I'm just not as hungry. If I'm hungry, I'll drink a lemon water in the sun. I'll put my water in the sun, let it sit for 2 hours, and all of a sudden
there is lemon in there.
I can tell. I can tell. Just don't let fear take you. And be an advocate. Like if you want to join a movement for us, be around us a lot, and you want to be an advocate for something, be an advocate for fruit.
Yeah.
I know it's a weird thing to advocate. Sometimes I wish I'd have been an advocate for something, that had been a little bit more popular, that everyone would think we're so nerdy.
Hey.
Now I don't really care anymore.
But doesn't matter.
Fruit has a bad rap.
Yep.
And people think they're getting it, and 1 in 10 are. So like the disconnect is really staggering for me.
Correct.
The brainwashing that's had to have happen, where literally we're almost to the point where 0 people are getting their fruits.
Correct.
And it's cheap. It's pretty affordable. I just think that's something that we can all get behind and be an advocate for fruits.
Yep, absolutely. We spend our time outside of this working in muddy waters and the reclamation, and much like your story about how you used fruit to kick alcohol. That was your recovery method. But the point, an important point we want to make involving our stance on fruit and whole foods, as well as the work we're doing in muddy waters and the reclamation with our open doors for people to come in to work on themselves there. We're not looking for perfection. We're not a recovery program.
Correct.
We're not promising huge results, because everything that we do is going to be on an individual basis, where we're at, what we want out of what we're doing. But at the other side of it, we also want to remember that no matter what it is we're doing, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for that little bit, but part of that little bit is consistency. Whatever it is you decide that you need to be part of and what you need to do, make sure that little bit you're putting in, you're consistent about it every single day.
I like that.
We're human. We're fallible. We will stumble. We'll get off course.
Yep.
You know what? Recognize it. It's not worth beating yourself up over. That happens.
Yeah.
See where you took that turn. Make that decision. Here's where I need to get back to. Start making those little steps. Get that consistency going again.
Yep.
And before too long, you're going to find you've got some momentum going, and you're going to let that momentum's going to start carrying your ship. And then you're going to be an example for those around you, for everybody that might have doubted you when you started. All of a sudden, most of them are going to be there. You're going to have some cheerleaders. You're going to have some people applauding what you did. And you're going to have others saying, of course, that worked for you.
Yep.
I knew it would work for you. And they were the ones that were laughing at you to begin with.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Don't do it for anybody else. Do it for yourself.
Yeah. I've been telling people lately, it's not about recovery, it's about discovery.
Yeah.
And it's discovering fruit. It's discovering the sun. It's discovering who you are.
Exactly.
And discovering that there's a lot of things that you can do that are small little things that don't cost much money. Most of them are really free.
Correct.
And they can help. They stack on top of each other. I was a man that drank pretty heavily for 30 years. I've had times where I quit, in times, but even those times, it was just constantly, I'd have that temptation. I don't have that anymore because I stack up my day in a way that I have so many grounding little things that I do that it's been able to perpetuate my life in a way where it's not even there anymore. And that's taken a while to do, but it's the first time in my adult life that I've ever been there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that can be for everybody, but I do know that the sun's good for everybody.
Yep.
I do know that fruit is good for, I would say, the 99.999% of everybody. And I do know that, being around good friends and, communicating and becoming more aware and being part of a community that does that.
Who you associate with matters.
Those are all really important things that can help stack odds. If you need help, get help. We're not a recovery, but we will help you discover who you are.
Absolutely. And all it takes is reaching out to the right source.
Correct.
So, all right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us. We will be back again next week. We'll keep touching on the Schumann Resonance and solar flares and different weather situations, and share anything that might be prominent in the news or the fruit world, and maybe dig a little deeper in some of the other science.
Make sure if you have anyone that hasn't subscribed, you subscribe.
Correct.
Make sure you go check out go check us out on Facebook. And if you have any questions, if there's anything that you want us to talk about or you want us to bring up on the next show, go in and find us and DM us on Facebook. We would gladly like to, talk about some of the things that you guys are curious about too.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always around.
True.
Thank you for joining us for this Eat Fruit Media production. Any donations requested were on the behalf of the speakers and their mission. We appreciate all who have joined us, and we hope you continue to live your life to its fullest purpose.